Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keenan Lafferty, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 215, where we normally learn to be better artists, but it is, in fact, Thursday evening. And you know what we like to do on Thursday evening? We like to meditate and think about our lives. And today we're going to be talking about a very important subject called having the grind of your life, right? You like that title? Play on words. Very clever, yeah? And we're going to be talking about what is the grind of life, how can you enjoy it, and some really cool ways to sort of integrate things into your life. But before we get into that, I do want to say thank you to everyone who has been joining me over on Skillshare.com. We have over 150 students signed up to be taking the Webcomic Challenge. The Webcomic Challenge, you guys are freaking awesome. So if you'd like to go check that out, head on over to Skillshare. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, the link to go join the class will be in the description. Come on over. You can post your projects, get one-on-one feedback from yours truly. Isn't that awesome? For all of you who have been wanting an opportunity like this, come on over, post your stuff, and I will respond to everybody who submits a project. So, good times ahead. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you watching in the stream, I will have a link for you at the end of the show. But for now, let's go ahead and get into the talk. Having the grind of your life. And I came prepared today because I got some good notes. Good notes right here. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a mentality that I slowly but surely slipped into over probably the past few years, I would say. And that is like the fear of the actual grind, the fear of work, and trying to just dial it back, slowly but surely trying to dial back the amount of effort that I put into something for the return that I was getting. And this is all human nature and everything. Everybody knows that the natural man, the natural inclination of man is that he will slowly but surely dial back the effort that he has to put into something and still receive the same rewards or the same results. And I'm here to tell you that is a bad thing. It is a bad thing that you must keep your eye out for. You must look for it like a lion in the Sahara, right? Looking for the zebra. You must eyeball it. You must be willing to track it down, hunt it, pounce on it, and then rip its throat out, right? You must rip the throat out of fearing the grind, okay? And this is really bright. I'm turn that down a little bit. Okay, this screen is seriously so big that it's just it's like another light source if I maximize a window that has a lot of white on it. But anyway, okay, so do not fear the grind. This is something that I was it was actually really starting to happen to me. And a prime example of it is with the comic. But we are now getting back to the comic, which is awesome. But let me tell you a little bit what mentalities kind of drove me to feel that way. Some of the things that kind of held me back and made me feel like I needed to kind of dial back, or, I was kind of not feeling it. My willpower is running out. And this is something that is probably related to you guys out there who might be working on an art piece. And a lot of people come up to me all the time and they say, Keenan, I can get started on a piece, but, sometimes I feel like I'm way behind. I look at other people that are younger than me or that are way better than me at whatever style I'm trying to get into. Or this person just got an internship to Riot Games or Blizzard Entertainment. And I'm just I'm not that good. They're way ahead. I should just stop, right? And that is the first example of what I want to talk about. Negative thoughts about why you should stop or why you should give up or kind of dial back are probably one of the biggest reasons why you will begin to fear and sort of hate the grind. You'll start to not really enjoy it because you feel like you're not making progress, or you feel like there's someone else that's ahead of you. And what I want to tell you about that is this, basically. In the nicest way possible, I would like to say this. Okay, so there are people that I used to look up to on DeviantArt, and I still do look up to them. But I remember looking at those people on DeviantArt and saying, oh man, their skill level, they are so much further ahead of me. They're so much further ahead of me. I don't know if one day I hope I can be that good. But those people are totally going to have jobs in the industries that I want to get into way before me. Maybe I can meet them there, right? But even though I felt that, I just pushed it aside. I was like, yeah, you know what? They're good, but I'm just going to keep focusing on what I'm doing. I'm going to keep focusing on building my skill. And then you know what happened? After about 2, 3, 4, 5 years, year after year after year of looking to others, right? Being inspired by other people's work, but not focusing on everything they were doing and constantly comparing myself against them, I began to develop my own skill, my own technique, and my own style. And then you want to know the interesting thing that happened? I was the person that got the job before those people, right? I got the job working in the industry, and then they came in and they were sitting across the desk from me, and I was interviewing them. So it's interesting how, because I didn't focus so much on competing with others, I began competing with myself. I basically got to, what you want to call it. It's obviously not the finish line, but the finish line of the goal of getting into the industry and working at a big name company before the people that I used to look up to on, various websites, various art websites like DeviantArt. And I thought, whoa, that is so interesting. And that goes back to loving the grind. And I think that one of the first things that you can do to start enjoying yourself, enjoying your journey, is to, again, look to others, but do not compare yourself to them. You want to compete against yourself. I think it was Michael Jordan that says when he was on the basketball court, his favorite player to play against was himself. And that's why he was, arguably the best basketball player of all time. And I've noticed that a lot of top people in their field oftentimes do this. They'll shut out just all the competition, right? They'll look to it, but they won't always be comparing themselves to it. So that's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to focus on enjoying the journey, learning for yourself. And you might be surprised. People that you used to look up to, one day they're going to be asking you for advice. So, all right, moving on to the next thing. And this is a bit of this was a shock to the system because I've been doing an online mentorship with a guy by the name of Tai Lopez. And I will also put a link to his TED Talk for those of you who like TED Talks. I know you guys all love them. Come on. I'll put a link to his TED Talk on YouTube once this is up later. But he has an online mentorship program. And in that, he talks about a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And I'm sure that many of you have heard of this. And he kind of takes his time to debunk the idea or the perception that people may have by looking at a book with a title like that. Because it feeds into that thought of, oh, hey, I can optimize my life so much that all I need to do is just have an idea, and then I can just have everybody else do the work for me. Be like, yeah, I got the idea. Why don't you guys go out and do that, right? You guys go out and do that. And if there's one thing that I've learned, one of the most powerful things that you can say to get started with any type of activity is the phrase, let's go do it. Let's go do it. Not you go do it. Let's go do it. Like I will do it with you. And so, in that case, yes, it is good to have a team, and a team is actually very, very important for, getting to the places that you want to go and optimizing and creating things. I have a team. I have an awesome line artist that I send my line art to for the comic, and it really, really helps out a lot. But I think people get a little bit too much caught up into it, thinking that they can have a team and then they do all the work and they can just like sit back in a freaking hammock with like a pineapple drink, with a little umbrella or whatever, and like not do anything. And that is bad. That is really bad, because what Tai Lopez talks about, and something that I really like, is that he says that you should start incorporating, like you should make your grind and your work, integrate that so much into your life that it is something that you like live, breathe, think about all the time, something that you love, something that you enjoy, and you just can't wait. Like it's like you work all day, you go home, and you are thinking about ways to sneak out of your house to get back to the office to continue working, And obviously it's not going to be like that all the time, but that's what you want to be aspiring for. And okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the 8-hour day lie. The 8-hour day lie. And this is going to be interesting because I'm going to be sort of going against some things that I've said in the past, right? Where I've looked to successful people, right? People who have created their business or, right, achieved any amount of success in health, wealth, love, or happiness, but especially like business type things or like artistry. A lot of people will say, well, how did you do it? How did you get to be a success? And they will say, well, I just worked really hard. I worked like 14-hour days and I just didn't sleep and I was up all the time and I just worked hard, right? And I've said before that I don't really like that thought or that phrase, like working hard, because I really believe that, you don't have to work hard to where you want to go. If you're doing it right, it doesn't feel like work. But one of the things that I feel that is mostly going to go against what I said before is the idea of the 14-hour workday. And I really started to think about that. And I was like, what would it actually be like to incorporate what I love so much into my life that during the week, it is just so fulfilling. It's no longer this compartmentalization of like, this is my work time, and then this is lunch, and then this is some more work time, and then at the end of the day, it's time to relax and play some video games, right? And sort of like try to escape the grind. Instead, what I'm saying now is, how can I work things that I enjoy into my grind, into what I want to do? For example, I'll give you a great example. You guys, look, this right here, this room, this is where I spend like 90% of my time during the work week, because I am in here, I'm working with my little Wacom tablet. This is like my little, what do you want to call it? It could be like a submersed, this room could be submersed like 500 feet under the ocean, and it probably wouldn't affect me that much because I never leave, But so a common complaint that I have is like, man, I just feel like I need to get out more. I wish I could just like go, I love going to places like Barnes & Noble, taking a look at some books, or just being outside. And so I'm thinking about, how is there a way that I can meet those two things together? Can I, for instance, take a sketchbook out? Well, don't look at my sketchbook, all right? There's confidential things on here. But I can take my sketchbook out and I can do my work for, say, Riot Games. I can do stuff on here while I'm at the park, while I'm at Barnes & Noble. And while, say, when I go get groceries, instead of taking my car, I'm lucky enough to live right next to the grocery store, so I can get a little walk-in. I can just walk over there and get my physical exercise, because that's another problem that I have. And so I think, how can I work in physical exercise into my life, into my workday? How can I work being outside into my workday? How can I work in reading books? Even playing video games, like one thing that I didn't realize is that at Riot, in the morning, we would have company play tests. So it's like, I love to play games, so why the heck would I not be familiarizing myself with the product and working, It's like, so it's a really cool way. Obviously, I'm not going to play League of Legends for 8 hours a day, but you know what I'm saying. But wouldn't that be cool? But yeah, just like an hour a day, why not? Why not just play the game for an hour or two a day? And then, again, that goes into my workday, right? I'm familiarizing myself with the game. So how can this apply to you? If you say work for, because I know how you guys feel. I used to work at the mall. I used to sell jeans, okay? How the heck am I going to work in artwork to selling jeans? How am I going to work in going outside and doing this and that into selling jeans at the mall? And what I say to that is that there are going to be times where you are going to have to basically do monotonous work. And I've done it. I've worked at Best Buy. I've sold video games before. But can you even see how when I did that, I was still integrating things that I enjoyed? I was working at Best Buy, but I was selling video games. I worked at Buckle, but I was selling shirts with artwork and designs that I actually enjoyed. So I want to urge you guys that if you have a job right now where there is nothing that you like about it, try to find something else that integrates what you love about it. Integrate something like, for example, if you guys are a lot of artists, things that you can do. Work at frickin' Michael's, work at an art supply shop, work as a teacher's assistant at a school, right? Teaching kids. That was one thing that I did that, the pay was not as good, but I enjoyed it so much more because it was integrated. And the things that make up my life, because here's the other realization, is that your grind is going to be your life. And there are people that, say, win the lottery, have their grind taken away from them, right? They're like, oh, I don't have to work another day in my life. And then you know what happens? They get bored. Because they need the grind. Like human life, you yourself, you pride yourself on your purpose. And your purpose is what you are creating, what you're doing every day, and where you're moving towards. So I would urge you guys that if you are on a journey right now or you're stuck in a job, your grind is something that you do not like, try to integrate something into it. Integrate things that you love and try to find another job that suits your needs. And don't forget to keep drawing, okay? Keep doing that. All right. Moving on, I'll do a couple more points and then we'll open up the question catapults for you guys. Let's see. And when you integrate things, when you integrate what you love into your work life, into your grind, you can get excited about working. You can get excited about bringing your skills because you realize that you actually have a lot of worth. You have a lot to offer. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. And if for some reason you actually are just stuck in a monotonous job, sometimes you do just have to stick it out, but always be looking to where you want to go, because that was something even when I was working at selling jeans at the mall, I knew I was going to make it. I knew I was going to do art for a living, and I never stopped improving my skills. All right, people. It is time for the question catapults. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am looking over here. I hope I'm not muted. That would be bad. Let me know if you guys can actually still hear me. You guys should be able to. And I'm going to take your questions. And in the meantime, I am going to sum up, yes, making work your life. And since I've sort of adopted this principle of like the 8-hour lie. Oh, that's what I want to talk about, the 8-hour lie. Okay, so I want you to ask yourself, and this is actually a really good exercise for anything in your life. I want you to think about a lot of rules that you have set up for what your life is supposed to be and how you're supposed to conduct yourself as a good, healthy human being, right? Obviously, some of these things are laws and you don't want to break the law and go to jail, but other things that you could break, such as the 8-hour workday. Who actually stood up one day and said, all right, I'm making a rule. The normal working day for a human being is going to be 8 hours, right? Now, why is that? Why did somebody step up and say that? Because people like Thomas Edison have heard that, right? As they got older and the 8-hour workday started to become more commonplace, they actually said, I wonder what would happen if some clever guy would have come up to me while I was doing my inventing and living my life, right? Thomas Edison loved the grind. He made his work his life. And he's like, I wonder what would have happened if somebody clever would have come up to me and fooled me with the thought of only working 8 hours. Someone would have come up to me and fooled me into 8 hours was enough, or that was all that was required of me. Because I guarantee you, Thomas Edison was working hard all day. He was working hard. He was working hard, but loving it. And he was putting in 14-hour days. Bill Gates was no doubt putting in 14-hour days. People that all become successful, they put in those hours. And here's the secret. Because you put in that amount of hours, most people work 40 hours a week, right? But if another person works 100 hours in a week, in a month, the person that's working 100 hours a week is going to basically quadruple his results, right? Because he's loving it. And he's getting ahead. There's no disputing that time can always get you ahead. The amount of time you put into something will always show. But I will say that another thing that helps, and this is especially with artists, is you have to learn how to properly take breaks too, because working 14 hours a day is very hard if you're going at it constantly. You're going to develop wrist problems like I did. It's going to go up your arm, and then it's going to start messing up your back, and then you literally cannot work anymore because you are disabled. So I work on a 26-34 rule, right? I work 26 minutes and then 34 off, right? And then I take breaks. I stretch. And then you want to know the interesting thing? I end up saving so much more time because on that break, I figure out exactly where I'm going to go next. Or if I'm working on something that is not going to be used in the end, I just chuck it, right? I just chuck it to the side and be like, no, you know what? That's not going to work, but I know it will. And then I go in and then I save hours. And it's absolutely amazing. You guys got to try it for yourself. But find a schedule that works for you. Find a way to integrate that works for you. All right, questions. A couple questions, then we're going to end today's show. Burstcraft is saying, I like doing art, but get over it after a while. What do you suggest I do to change or make me do it for longer? I feel like I love it, but not in a way that while my eyes are open, I should be doing it. All right. This is a great question, Burstcraft. There's always going to be likes and loves. And if you feel like you just don't have a lot of willpower to do something that you can stick with, I really want to ask you, what is the skill that you could stick with? What if you had to do something for 14 hours a day, if you could integrate that into your life and make that a part of you, would it be art or would it be something else? Because there's nothing wrong with having art just be your hobby. Like, just because you're an artist doesn't mean you have to be a professional. I like to play guitar. There's my little amp. I'm an amateur guitar player, but I don't want to be, paid to do that stuff. I'm not going to be a rock star. So it's good to distinguish between what do you actually want to be a hobby and what do you want to do for the rest of your life. But I will say this, if you want to become a professional, then you better dang well figure out how to integrate that into your life. Because, like I said, people that are working for every hour that you're not working, somebody else is working, right? And they are going to pass you up and they're going to be where you want to be if you don't figure out a way to integrate it. But there's nothing wrong with just making it a hobby. Another thing that I will say to that degree is that I have found that, again, like the rules of the world, saying that successful people and good people get up early in the morning. And I was like, well, I want to be a successful, spiritual, happy person. I want to get up and meditate and watch the sun come up because that's the kind of person that I want to be. But I just have a hard time waking up in the morning. I usually wake up at around like 10:30, 11. And you know what happens? Because I have that rule in my mind, I get up saying, oh, man, I'm not a good person. I'm not a spiritual person. I'm not this and that, you know? But then the day I decided, again, question that rule. Who made that up? Who said that you have to get up to be successful? Who said that you can't stay up till 5 in the morning working late, you know, and be successful? I just really think that every single technique or philosophy that you learn from your life, you want to think about how to integrate it and question it. Question it, because not everybody is just a little cookie cutter. Not every single technique works for everybody. Even everything that I'm saying to you today, don't take everything that I say as like pure gold and you need to follow it to the T. Take a look at the principles, the ideas, and then think of how you can make it work for you, right? Make your own style of philosophy. All right. Sorry, I'm going to take one more question, and then we're going to end. Sorry, I can't answer everybody's. And this is going to be from Tank Girl saying, hi there, Senpai. Do you have any good ways to practice ambient lighting that is heavily saturated and colorful? Like how it reacts on different materials, aka skin, metal, fabric. Shoot. Tank Girl. I'm trying to think if there's a way that I can explain this without going into Photoshop. This could be a whole tutorial in itself, and I might just add it to a list, Tank Girl. But heavily saturated or colorful, again, the best thing that I can do, that I can say is find references. Find references or take photos yourself. And that will always be a good way to start. But if you haven't checked out the last tutorial, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Or was it last week? Yeah, 2 weeks ago we talked about ambient and colored lights. So check that out as well. All right, I will take one more question. Hopefully this is more Thoughtful Thursday oriented. Oh, great question, Traxay. Okay, last question coming in from Traxay. He or she says, "Hey Keenan, how can I keep going and making art despite emotional problems? How do you overcome the struggle?" And that is a great segue into what I'm reading. Where is it? Oh no, where's the book? Oh well, I can actually talk about this. Yeah, sure, why not? Okay. So one of the ways that I've found to actually get over any sort of emotional or like mental barriers is oftentimes reading books, like this one specifically, Creativity Inc. Check out the subtitle right there, Overcoming Unseen Forces That Stand in the Way of True Inspiration. That could be helpful to you. Check this out. It's by the guys that obviously run Pixar. Isn't that really cool? So I'm reading this, and there's a lot of really cool like story background stuff. But I just picked up a book today called Willpower by Roy something. He's like it's a German last name. Crap. Man, I am so bad. Hang on. I will tell you a cool book to check out. I just picked it up today. And if you want to read it along with me, then you should totally check it out. This was also recommended by Ty Lopez. It's called Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength by Roy F. Baumeister. And it's very good from what I've read so far. Oh, I think it's actually right here. Is it on my bed? I was just reading it. Okay, whatever. Anyway, check that one out. But I found that reading helps a lot. And motivational speaking helps a lot too. And the reason why it does is because I feel that as artists, we are very introspective people. Our creativity locks us in our minds. But along with the locking in of our minds, we are subject to all the voices in there, right? And this is another whole like Thoughtful Thursday that we could go into, and I actually do want to talk about this. But what I will say is that when you listen to somebody else, listen to another motivational speaker, it starts to replace, especially while you're working, it starts to replace those voices inside your head. Because you ever noticed that when you're listening to someone talk to you, someone else talking to you, you're not hearing that background chatter necessarily, unless you're like ignoring them and thinking about what you're going to do later that day. But for the most part, it's never like those negative voices. So I would recommend that. Check out some motivational speaking on YouTube. And one of the people that I would suggest is Jim Rohn, because I love Jim Rohn. And I just went ahead and typed his name into the chat. So go ahead and type that guy into YouTube. I really like him. He's an older guy. He's actually passed away now, but he is a very awesome life coach. And I love his talks about success and life. And I like his style. He's got like a really kind of a goofy style. But check it out. See for yourself if you like it. And with that, we are going to end today's show. Thank you guys so much for joining me live on Twitch, people on YouTube. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. My name is Keenan Lafferty. Again, if you'd like to join me on Skillshare, that link is in the description. Come on, post your projects, and people in Twitch, I will post that link in the chat momentarily. But until next time, you guys take care. We'll see you then.